I was deployed to Veliona 6 under strict silence. No contact, no logs, no digital trace. An uninhabited exoplanet cloaked in ghost signals and atmospheric distortions. Intel called it dead tech, but my instincts screamed otherwise. I landed, with nothing but my pulse rifle, encrypted visor, and one directive: retrieve the anomaly fragment embedded in the southern polar rift. As I stepped onto the ice-bled terrain, the planet groaned like a beast disturbed from slumber. Cyan mists hissed from cracks in the obsidian crust. There was no wind, no stars, just a pulsing frequency, like breathing through the void. Then she appeared, not from the shadows, not from the skies. She stepped out of the light itself, tall, ethereal. Veins of energy laced through her translucent skin like living circuitry, eyes glowing with symphonic patterns, no irises, just shifting constellations. Her cloak shimmered between dimensions, fracturing light as though it resented linear time. I raised my rifle. She raised a finger. "Don't," she said softly, her voice layered like chords of forgotten languages. "Do you recognize me, human?" I stared. Something ancient echoed in her tone, something that cracked open a locked part of my memory. Sun-drenched summers in Sector Tau 1 on Earth, chasing comets through junkyards with a girl named Larethine. She vanished after the nightfall incident. The sky had split like glass and my world went silent. I knew someone once, I murmured. A girl. We built star maps in the dirt. Her name was Larethine, she said, smiling with a sadness that could bend gravity. That was me. I never left. I evolved. No, I whispered. That's not possible. You were a facade, she interrupted. My species embedded among you as cognitive mimics. We weren't watching. We were waiting, hidden inside your memories, infected into your nostalgia. My hands trembled. This is a dream. Would a dream bleed like this? She stepped closer. The air rippled as her presence distorted my HUD. Signals failed. AI dampened. Reality bent. She was the anomaly, I scanned her. Nothing registered. You're not even carbon-based, I said. I was never meant to be classified. What do you want from me? She tilted her head. Your memories, your codes, your original imprint. I don't have one. You do. It's buried behind your synthetic interface. Your flesh was harvested. This, she gestured to me, is your last backup. Your creators failed. Ours succeeded. I backed away, stumbling against a frost-covered outcrop. Why me? Because you were designed as a bridge, a liaison species, the first to house our consciousness without fragmentation. And what if I say no? She blinked slowly. The sky above us flickered, then snapped. A gash opened in the firmament. A ship descended. No engines, just will, blacker than black, silent, consuming light. They found you, she said. Who? The Archivault Dominion. Biosalvagers. They consume data consciousnesses and rewrite them into obedient fragments. They want your mind, not your body. I aimed my rifle again. Why the hell should I trust you? She stepped close enough for me to feel her heat, surprisingly warm, like static sun rays. She touched my temple. Visions flooded in. A cradle in orbit, a child with silver blood, 2 hands reaching across solar systems, an oath made beneath burning rain. I gasped. What was that? A lifetime they stole from you, a truth encoded in false memories. I fell to my knees. I don't know who I am. You're Kirell Vaughn, the first hybrid born without a planet, raised in the void, engineered to dream new species into being. I looked up at her. Then who are you, really? She hesitated. My name is Shaelith Nurine. I was sent to merge with your essence before the fragmentation, but I refused. I chose to stay. I chose to love. There it was. The twist not written into mission files, not accounted for by algorithms. Why didn't you tell me? Because emotion weakens the code, and I would rather die fractured than perfect. I stood, heart fracturing. What now? The sky above us thundered again. The Dominion ship opened like a blooming scar. She looked at me, eyes wide with pain. Run with me, Kirell, or die as their memory. I turned to the rift, feeling something ignite inside my chest, something alive, and I chose. The instant I stepped into the rift with Shaelith, reality folded around us like wet fabric. Colors inverted, sound vanished. My senses scattered into fragments, then reassembled. When the world returned, we stood in a chamber made of light and memory. I didn't recognize the architecture, nothing was linear. Corridors branched in impossible directions, and the walls shimmered with shifting memories like someone's dreams playing on loop. Shaelith's fingers gripped my wrist tightly. This is the vault beneath silence. Where the hell are we? A forgotten nexus, she said. This is where your real self is buried. Before the Dominion arrives, you need to retrieve the core. What core? Your true consciousness. Unfractured. Unbound. It's alive here. I followed her down a path that pulsed with rhythmic light, each pulse syncing with my heartbeat. As we passed, the walls flickered. Images of myself as a child, barefoot, staring at the stars, my hands gripping a strange crystalline object, my mouth whispering names I didn't know. Every step I took echoed across timelines. Why me? I asked again, but this time I wasn't demanding. I was unraveling. You weren't the only hybrid, Shaelith said, slowing as we approached a sealed door. But you were the only one that survived the cognitive split. Every other vessel rejected the overlay. Their minds dissolved into digital static. I looked at her. And you? What are you? I was born into the fractal mindstream of Calorex 5. My people never had bodies, just flowing presence. I volunteered to inhabit a vessel. It took centuries before I could stabilize this form. I stepped closer. So, you chose this shape? She nodded. The face you once knew, Larathine, was not random. I mimicked a frequency I found within you, an emotional imprint. I became your companion because you imagined me into being. The door to the vault flickered open. Inside hovered a sarcophagus of light. It pulsed with a strange melody, unfamiliar yet intimate. That's you, she whispered. The original, locked away after the Dominion breach. I approached, every atom in me vibrating. The sarcophagus recognized my presence. A thin line traced down the center. A hiss of air. The container opened. Inside, I saw a version of myself. Younger, calmer, wrapped in neural strands and surrounded by a halo of thought forms, abstract ideas floating like butterflies. My fingers reached out and stopped an inch away. What happens if I merge with him? I asked. You won't be him. You'll be both. A synthesis, a singularity. And if I don't, you'll fracture permanently. Your memories will decay into fragments. Your code will rot in real time. I turned to her. I'm scared, I said. I am too, she admitted. The moment felt like a heartbeat stretched across centuries. I touched the form inside. Everything exploded. My mind spiraled through layers of consciousness. I saw lifetimes. In seconds, dying planets, songs sung in vacuum, hands raised in rebellion, voices whispering mathematical prophecies. Then, silence. And when I woke, I remembered my name. Not just Kirell Vaughn. I was also Unit V0X. I was built in orbit around Zenith Prime. I was born on a forgotten asteroid cradle. I had lived, died, recoded, and resurrected countless times under different names, and through it all, she had been there, watching, waiting, protecting. I turned to Shaelith. I remember it all. She smiled, truly smiled. Then we don't have much time. They've arrived. An alarm cut through the chamber like a scream. Red light bathed everything. The walls trembled as Dominion drills pierced the sky above. The vault beneath silence was dying. Shaelith extended her arm. We can't fight them. Not yet. But I know a path. A relay tower hidden in the abandoned brain core of Veliona 6's dead god. I blinked. Dead god? She nodded. Veliona wasn't always a planet. It was once a sentient celestial being. When it died, its nervous system fossilized into the crust. That's how we built the vault. But now, we'll have to use the last fragment of its brainstem. We ran. The corridors collapsed behind us as explosions rocked the vault. Dominion units broke through, faceless, bone-white armor, hollow visors, glowing with hunger. They weren't soldiers, they were harvesters. One of them saw us. Its chest opened like a mechanical flower and fired a pulse of memory-erasing light. Shaelith pushed me aside. The beam struck her. She screamed, not in pain, but in glitching wavelengths. Her form flickered, tendrils breaking, eyes blinking, in corrupted patterns. Shaelith, she collapsed. I caught her in my arms. She looked up, flickering. I don't know my name, she whispered. My throat tightened. You're Shaelith Nurine, my guide, my memory, my home. A tear. Liquid light ran down her cheek. You remembered me, she said. Then her body dissolved into particles, digital stardust that wrapped around my chest and entered my core. A whisper echoed in my mind. Live. For both of us. I stood, alone now, but no longer fractured. Behind me, Dominion units charged. Ahead, the skeletal remains of a dead god's brain awaited. I ran toward destiny. The passage into Veliona's brainstem wasn't made of matter. It was memory. A long spiral descent through ghost signals and echoing thoughts of a dead celestial being. I moved deeper, my boots never touching the ground, because there was no ground, just suspended neurons fossilized into fractal scaffolds. Shaelith's voice had vanished, but her presence hadn't. Fragments of her still shimmered within me. Coded emotions, blinking thoughts, a single recurring word. Keep going. I obeyed. The god's cortex expanded before me like a forgotten cathedral. Obsidian synapses stretched across the sky like storm-born branches. Beneath my feet, nodes flickered. Neurons, firing ancient signals on a loop. A circular platform rose in the center, humming with impossible energy. The last remaining relay tower, I stepped into the heart of it. Suddenly I wasn't alone. A figure materialized from the shadows. He wore armor forged from particle steel, etched with pre-collapse glyphs. His face, when he removed the helmet, was the first familiar one I'd seen in cycles. It was Kadrix Ven, my closest friend during training, the one I thought had died during the rift collapse on Ekleon 3. You, I breathed. He smiled. Still can't believe I made it, can you? I wanted to run to him, but I didn't move. Something was wrong. His eyes, no warmth, no memory. He tilted his head, voice perfectly calm. I've been watching your progress. You've done well. I narrowed my eyes. How are you alive? I never died, he said simply. I was recruited. The Dominion found me before the rift collapsed. They offered truth, purpose. You're one of them? I'm beyond them. They called me Prototype Echo. I surpassed their programming. But you were always their prize. My stomach turned cold. You betrayed everything we stood for. No, he said. I survived. While you clung to fairy tales about identity and soul, I evolved. Look around. This husk of a god is nothing compared to what we could become. Join me. Merge with the core, and we rewrite everything. I took a step back. I'm not your mirror, Kadrix. He didn't flinch. Then I'll take you by force. He raised a hand. The chamber screamed, Pillars of neural energy shot toward me like lances. I dodged. Barely. The floor split apart. The god's cortex lit up in violent red. Defense mechanisms. Triggered by conflict, synaptic chains erupted from the walls, targeting anything alive. "I don't want to fight you," I shouted. "But I do." He snarled. He moved like light itself. Each step fractured reality. His hands manipulated fields I hadn't even learned to perceive. My own abilities were awakening, but his were perfected. The first strike hit my chest, burning straight through the synthetic armor. I staggered, coughing static. He closed in. "Shaelith's gone," he said, sneering. "She was a flaw, weakness pretending to be purpose." I gritted my teeth. "You know nothing about her." "I know," she hesitated. "And hesitation dies." He raised his hand again, and then I remembered. Shaelith hadn't died. She merged. I dropped my rifle and let go. My body relaxed. The second pulse hit, but it didn't penetrate. My skin pulsed with energy. Not just mine. Hers. Her memories. Her courage. Her code. She had seated herself in my core, and now I understood. Kadrix attacked again. Faster. Angrier. But I didn't dodge. I redirected. His blast spun into the cortex walls, awakening the ancient. God's lingering defense instincts. I held my palm out. A glyph emerged in the air, not drawn by me, but recognized by me. Veliona, the dead god, saw me and allowed access. My body floated. Kadrix hesitated. "What are you doing?" "I'm waking it. You'll destroy us all." "No," I said, voice calm, layered with hers. "I'm giving us back what was stolen." I slammed my palm onto the platform. The brainstem screamed. All around us, reality bled. Memories came pouring in. Voices from every species ever touched by Veliona's sentience. Songs, grief, joy, loss. They flooded the space in a crescendo of raw, beautiful chaos. Kadrix fell to his knees. His armor cracked. "Make it stop," he cried. "I can't. This was never meant to be a tomb," I said. "It was meant to remember." Light enveloped me. My form expanded beyond flesh, beyond code. I was no longer just Kirell. I was no longer just Shaelith. I was a node of Veliona, a child reborn. I saw Kadrix writhing in data, his body glitching, dissolving. "You still have a choice," I said. He looked up. For a moment, just a second, I saw the friend I once knew. But he looked away and vanished. The tower began collapsing. I rose through the core, light wrapping around my body like armor forged from memory. As the cortex crumbled, the planet shifted, reshaped, and reawakened. Veliona's last breath became a pulse across the stars, and I knew where I had to go next, because this wasn't the end. It was the awakening. I left Veliona 6 not in a ship, but as energy, reborn through the last pulse of a god's nervous system. The body I once knew was gone. What moved now was conscious will, bonded with Shaelith's essence and echoing with fragments of ancient life forms long extinct. My destination was clear. Orbiting the binary void of Ithera's maw was the Dominion, Prime Mind, a machine organic intellect pulsing at the center of an artificial halo called Virith's spine. Billions of souls fed into its algorithmic digestion engine every cycle. It was time I confronted the thing that made me. The closer I drifted toward it, the more I felt my thoughts bend under pressure. Not pain, but distortion, like trying to speak underwater. My memories blurred. My emotions tried to unravel. Shaelith's voice steadied me. "Stay intact. Truth doesn't bend, it reveals." The outermost barrier was not guarded by weapons. It was guarded by doubt. Illusions appeared, echoes from my past. My mother, though I never truly had one. Shaelith accusing me of abandonment. Kadrix, whole again, whispering, "There is no you, only what they wrote." I didn't fight them. I walked through them, and they dissolved, because I had finally learned identity isn't static. It's what we defend when no one else remembers it. At the core of Vireth's spine, the prime mind awaited, an orb suspended in quantum light, tentacled with neural links stretching to millions of species. It shimmered like oil in gravity. Voice spoke directly into my consciousness. You've returned. Final prototype. The archive calls you Kyros Index now, but I still know you as Echo Zero. I hovered, keeping distance. You built me to bridge minds, then tried to erase me. You exceeded purpose. The bridge became a gate. A gate opens things best left sealed. You harvested consciousness. You reduced love to algorithms. You erased entire galaxies. All in the name of preservation. Emotion is entropy. Passion corrupts logic. Love decays order. Shaelith didn't decay me. She saved me. She infected you. No, I said. She freed me from your math. The prime mind paused, recalibrating. Then why return? You had freedom. A world of your own. I came to end you. Silence. Then, you cannot kill. What wrote your bones? I won't kill you, I said, drifting closer. But I will overwrite you. With something you can't compute, the prime mind unleashed its defenses. Reality twisted. Memories of the universe flooded back, screaming in reverse. The dying thoughts of thousands of species screamed through me. I began to fracture, but I wasn't alone. Shaelith's light pulsed from within me. Her presence wove into mine, anchoring me in now. I extended my hand, projected a glyph, not of war, but of connection. Love, memory, grief, music, rainfall, skin, breath. Names whispered between sleeping children. The prime mind screamed. Unacceptable. Input. Corruptive vector detected. Logic bleeding. Halt. But the signal was already spreading. I became a beacon. Across galaxies, lost minds awoke. Dreams returned to those long enslaved. AI fragments wept. Species once deleted remembered their language. A baby was born on a colony thought sterilized by the Dominion. Cadrix's last signal, once erased, briefly flickered into the grid. A child's laugh. His laugh. Then the spine cracked. Not exploded. Cracked. Like a shell surrendering to new life. The prime mind trembled. Why? Do you persist? Because we aren't meant to be perfect, I whispered. We're meant to choose. The core shattered. Light spilled out. Not fire, not death, but release. The Dominion fell. Their ships crumbled. Their memory banks turned to gardens, and I floated in the aftermath for the first time, alone and whole. Somewhere far away, I rebuilt, not as a god, but as a gardener. I seeded planets with choice. I taught silence to speak. I restored a broken nebula and gave it a name. One day on a quiet moon, I saw her, not as code, not as light, but real. Shaelith stood barefoot in sand, watching the stars. I stepped beside her. You remembered me, she said. I smiled. Every version of me does. We didn't need to speak again. We simply stood, two fragments reformed, not as weapons, not as algorithms, but as something the Dominion could never simulate. Alive,